I told you I've been very lucky, and tomorrow we're gonna make our second qualifying session much easier. We're gonna play with the fuel, and it's important to be there now. Yeah. Well done.
That's an important point that Giancarlo Fisichella has just made. With a 2.1 second cushion, he's virtually assured of pole position unless he makes an error, which will give him a nice fat margin to carry some more fuel if he wants. Of course, you don't just want to fill them up. Maybe that's going to be too hard on the tyres or brakes. This is a very heavy braking circuit. But it does give him a nice window, a margin to be able to make the perfect race strategy. So Fisichella then in a dream position, and he made the most of his opportunity, took the right tyre, and as he absolutely flew through the final turn, it was raining on the rest of the racetrack, wasn't it? Perfect.
Yeah, I love the way he made the point. It's unusual for him to be lucky. If you think back over his career, he has had some well, he's had some strange moments, that's for sure, and never quite been, always been the bridesmaid and very rarely, if ever, the bride. Ironically, the only pole he's ever had in Formula One was back in 1998. Do you remember that, at the A1 ring in Austria? I think it was the first time we went there, second time we went there, and it was a similar situation to today. It was one of those wet, dry days, and he, like Barrichello, is just one of those guys that just seems to find the sweet spot in those kind of conditions. Always one of the first people to go onto the dry tyres. There is Barrichello. He still has to go out. We've got Ralf Schumacher, Fernando Alonso in the second Renault. Ralf Schumacher, of course, in the Toyota this season. Rubens Barrichello, then Kimi Raikkonen, and finally Juan Montoya. It is still raining here out on the track. We've got a red flag situation to clear up the mess of Takuma Sato's accident, but now the green light has just been given. The pit lane is now officially open, and Ralf Schumacher is going straight out on track to see what he can do. And you can see as well how hard it is still raining here.
Well, the other aspect of this is Michael Schumacher's best grid slot for tomorrow is going to be 15th or 16th if he's lucky. Could well be even as low down as 17th or 18th. At the moment, only Massa's behind him and Sato in the wall, so that's 18th. We'll see how the final runners do. They could well be on the right tyres, or better tyres than Michael was. So Michael 22 seconds away from pole, 8 seconds away from Friesacker in the Minardi, who's in front of him. Curious conditions. Don't quite know what to make of this really, James, in terms of Formula One and how it looks and whether it's working out. It's certainly going to give us a thrilling grid. Look, it's raining hard enough over the far side still, isn't it?
It certainly is. Michael Schumacher, 22 seconds off pole. You couldn't make it up, could you? After the season he had in 2004, all those victories in pole positions, totally dominant. At the start of this season, it's a very different story, but it's all for weather reasons, not performance reasons. There's his teammate, Rubens Barrichello, and Ralf Schumacher's out lap. He's just feeling where the grip is as well. And, well, you can see the weather really coming in here at Albert Park. This is the back straight, long curving to the left, and the fast chicane as well. A terrific spot to watch Grand Prix cars. I was out there yesterday afternoon. It was really very interesting watching the drivers hurling the cars into there, see who's got confidence in the car and who hasn't. Watch them growing in confidence. Obviously today, in these conditions, confidence and tyre temperature are absolutely everything.
So a save for Ralf here would be if he can get into a solid, wet time, which is low 1 minute 40s. That would actually put him 9th at the moment and give him half a chance, wouldn't it, for tomorrow? And he should be somewhere in that zone, shouldn't he? Sort of in the 1 minute 40 zone, providing, of course, he doesn't make an error. Down then into turn 1.
Yeah, well, Michael Schumacher's time was set on the intermediate tyres, the same ones that caught out Takuma Sato, although obviously Schumacher running on Bridgestone, Sato on the Michelins. This is Ralf Schumacher, also with Michelin. He's gone for the full extreme wet weather tyre, and we'll find out what a good extreme wet weather lap is around this Albert Park circuit. Ralf Schumacher neat and tidy, one of the smoother drivers in Formula One, keeping well away from those painted curbs that are ready to catch the unwary.
Yeah, but he's treading very gently on that throttle pedal. He's not confident and happy in that car at all. Clearly just not enough rear grip, and you listen to him, he's just so gently squeezing that on. It's almost like he doesn't want to power up in some of those sections there. He's not full throttle through turn 8, and he's struggling. Ralf Schumacher then is not going to get down there in the low 1 minute 40s at all, and he's also heading for the back of the grid.
Certainly is. He's Nevertheless, a couple of seconds faster in Sector 1 than his brother, but slower by a second than Friesacher, Patrick Friesacher in the Minardi, who is currently in 12th place. So at the moment, he's on target to be somewhere amongst the Minardis, I would say. They went out in very different conditions. Of course, at the start of the season, we'd had rain, but it was drying out when the Minardis went out. And here is Ralf Schumacher, aiming for something in the low 1-minute 50s, high 1:49s.
Yeah, I think we're now seeing where that missing downforce is really penalising the drivers in treacherous conditions where they need the mechanical grip and the aero grip. They just don't have it, and it really is dramatic this year. As soon as we saw them out on wet tyres this morning, and of course in this qualifying session, they're kind of nowhere. They've got a lot of work to do in these conditions for the new 2005 regulations, and he pops in front of his brother by 6.5 seconds, but only by 1 place, just to show you how much Michael struggled. So they're behind all the new boys on the grid.
That was his wife Cora, you just saw a quick shot of. They're a very happy man indeed, Giancarlo Fisichella, with his manager Enrico Zannarini, who used to look after Eddie Irvine's Formula 1 career. He managed to get Fisichella back into the Renault team after he moved off to Jordan and then Sauber. His career seemed to be sliding away, and he was moving further and further away from top teams, but then he got the chance to come back here, with Jarno Trulli making the move to Toyota. And Renault over the winter have produced an absolute peach of a car. It's all working very, very well together. The engineers are right on top of the situation, and well, he really does have a good chance this year, as does Fernando Alonso. But certainly as far as this afternoon's qualifying is concerned, Alonso in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Now look at that, he's 5 or 6 seconds faster than Ralf Schumacher was, so I don't understand that. Same tyres, Alonso so much happier. This Renault really does seem to have good balance and good overall grip, doesn't it? Their drivers have got more confidence than anybody else. That'll pay dividends all through the season.
And it'll be very interesting, Martin, as well, because there's not been much to choose between the Renaults and the McLarens in dry running. They're both quick cars, aren't they? We haven't seen ultimate pace, but they look as though they're on the same sort of level. It'll be very interesting to see Raikkonen and Montoya in a minute, how they cope with these conditions, because they appear to have a well-balanced, good aero car as well. So we can do a nice comparison here. Looking backwards from Fernando Alonso's rear wing, 23 years of age, already a winner, of course, won the Hungarian Grand Prix a couple of years ago, pole sitter as well, multiple pole sitter, and well, expected to go much better than that this year, possibly even be a championship contender. Certainly Schumacher's got his eye on him. Out of 16 then for Alonso. Can he get himself into the mid 140s, high 140s possibly, 147.7. That puts him ahead of the two Minardi